Our Academic and Professional Staff Association General Secretary, Professor Boitumelo Senokoane, joins us now for more on this. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening. Critics of this court ruling are saying that the institution is restraining the minister from executing his duties. What's your take?
Good evening to yourself and to the viewers. Look, the reality of the matter, as per my previous interview, was that there were already 2 court interdict orders against the minister to act on the recommendations of the independent assessor because of the application of review that was done by the council of the institution. So it made legal sense, even common sense to a certain extent, that the minister should have waited, had that patience, and only act after the review process has been done, because he's an executive in government. He should have understood that there are decisions by the court and he should respect or be seen to be respecting the processes and decisions.
So there are some staff members as well as students, for example, who've written to the courts in a petition saying that they don't see why the institution should be left hanging while they're waiting for court processes that are dragging out. They, in fact, would want the minister to intervene on their behalf. What would be the harm that would be caused to the institution should certainly these things be left to drag out in court as they seemingly are taking time now?
Look, I'm coming from a school of thought that there are processes and procedures in everything that we do. And those processes and procedures give us all the rights and privileges. But beyond those rights and privileges, we have limitations, all of us. Imagine if minister will have to act, do anything and everything whenever he wants. We'll have a chaotic country, we'll have chaotic institution of higher learning. We are not entertaining merits and demerits of the submission by Prof. as an independent assessor. But we are saying there are processes in place, he must respect the courts. Imagine, as a unionist, I were to agree that if my member or members of the union, APSA in this regard, was charged and there was an opportunity for an appeal, or that appeal was disregarded, it was going to be a mockery and a denial of the fundamental rights of appeal for all our members. So we are arguing that the same privilege as is provided to members to have an appeal after a disciplinary hearing, it is the same right and privilege that any member who feels that the process was not fair to be provided an opportunity to do that review.
Yeah. Of course, merits and demerits of either the independent assessor's report or the ministerial task team report. Are you in any way impartial to these findings, or do you have a particular view about these findings and whether they should be taken into consideration?
Look, from where I'm sitting, I was going to question even the credibility of the independent assessor himself, his experience in higher education sector. Of course, one will argue that he is a professor in the education sector. I will argue beyond that to check his curriculum vitae, to check exactly his academic record in as far as publication is concerned, his experience in management and other things, just to verify whether he's the right person to have done that process. But beyond that, the methodology that was employed by Prof. is questionable. Questionable in a sense that he has done certain conclusions and findings against certain individuals, structures and stakeholders, but he never gave them first the privilege to interview them. He never gave them a right of response or reply in the allegations, rumors that were leveled against them. And because of that, it is a questionable report. There are no addendums, at least in the public document that is I have access to. There are no attachments of whatever of evidence that was leveled against people. Of course, people might argue to say, yes, people were whistleblowers. But even if you were to be found guilty on certain things, at least that evidence must be accessible to those who are implicated in those rumors or allegations. And that's where we are coming from. We are saying there were allegations, there must be proof, and people must be given any responsibility and opportunity to be able to defend themselves against any rumor or allegation. That's a simple fundamental principle of the law.
However, the minister, through his office in his statement on Saturday, when he was, of course, announcing the administrator, he says that he studied the report quite extensively, and he gave council an opportunity to respond and management an opportunity to respond, to give their side of the story. However, when he considers their response, he considers the report, and he considers the ministerial task team report, he finds there are strong overlaps and areas of strategic convergence in as far as the findings of both those bodies.
Look, the reality is that we must never treat any report for that matter, like the report of Prof. Temba Musia or the MTT report, as the only truth or as the alpha and omega. Any report written by a human being under the sun, it can be challenged, it can be disputed. And in this regard, there has been an application to review and challenge the report itself and its finding. And there's nothing wrong. The minister should have been very patient. I don't know why he's in a hurry, because he has all the time in the world to wait for the review and make his decision based on what could have been argued and decided after the review process. He must just relax and wait for that process to come. I don't know why he's in a hurry and why Unisa is his biggest attention, because we know even in October there's been outcomes through the processes of assessment, even at UCT, for an example. Why Unisa is the biggest for concentration for him? Why can't he wait for processes to unfold and he made a proper decision based on informed decisions? We do not want to sit with decisions that are made tomorrow, and when the review is done, and now we have found one thing, and people will have been labeled, people will have been victimized, people will have been discriminated against. So our argument is simple. Allow the review process. Once it is done, then the minister can do his own determination.
Academic and Professional Staff Association General Secretary, Professor Boitumelo Senokoane, is still with us. We're going to take your thoughts as well tonight on 072110554. Did the minister act in haste, or is this institution restraining the minister from carrying out his duties? Prof, let's talk about some of the issues that the minister says certainly. Firstly, let's begin here. Do you think the institution would benefit from an installation of an administrator? Say we've run through the processes and the courts have decided, and it does uphold maybe even the report of the independent assessor.
Look, one will not dispute any intervention by a minister, because the Education Act gives him the powers to act if he feels that things are not going well at the university. It is the Education Act. But there is a procedure and process that is prescribed by the higher education on how that should happen. It is not just automatic, willy-nilly that the minister will wake up and do as they please. Minister should be able to respect the laws of the country, including the courts of the country. Yeah. Of course, there are, areas of improvement at Unisa. For an example, Unisa is an open distance e-learning institution, or in this regard, an order can learn a lot in its new environment of, Intel revolution, where we can learn new ways of doing things in terms of technology, teaching using technology as an advantage. That's one of the things. But also learning the new methods in the world on how to, approach teaching. It can happen. The new ways or better ways of administering finance, improving your financial reports, and so on and so forth. That can be done. No one is disputing that Unisa can learn. In fact, by a virtue of being a university, naturally you accept the plurality of different thinking among the members of your staff. And that can be, seen that we are allergic as an institution, or members working at Unisa, or unions at Unisa, stakeholders at Unisa, always appreciate and accommodate different opinions, new education. That is the basis of what forms the university. So, of course, if the minister had succeeded, or were to succeed to do that, they will comply to what they want. There are processes in place, and it will be very disappointing that the minister will disregard.
Yeah. All right, we are having challenges there in that connection. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost Professor Senokoane, the Academic and Professional Staff Association General Secretary.